You ever thought what pyramids would look like in their heyday? This is the closest you will ever get. This is Ruwanwelisaya in Sri Lanka, one of the largest stupas in the world, and it's actually more wider than the pyramids. Today we are exploring Anuradhapura, the very first ancient capital of Sri Lanka. From its mega structures that rival the Egyptian empire to the world famous intricate stone art. While most ancient capitals around the world are just ruins and empty stones, Anuradhapura is different. This is a living, breathing city, a place where thousands of pilgrims still walk the exact same paths their ancestors did over 2,000 years ago. If you are not really into crowds, we will show you a few places that offers peace and quiet even on a busy Pooja day like today. I'm Maitri, and let's discover the living pyramids of Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, every full moon known as Pooja Day is a public holiday, but honestly, even we didn't expect a crowd quite this massive today. We almost turned around, but luckily didn't, because once we got to the Maluva, the stone-paved courtyard that surrounds the massive dome, the crowds just seemed to dissolve into it. If you want a sense of scale, this stone platform is roughly the size of the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The actual footprint of this place is massive. It's around 100 meters, which is a bit shorter than the pyramids. It is covered in a fresh paint of white, and this is very much akin to what would have the pyramids look like with the white marble. I remember one of the artists saying the pyramids would be almost blinding because of the white marble in a direct sunlight. See? Sunlight, whiteness, and it's not too bad. It's a very clear day today. Yes, there was some rain, but today we have very good clear skies. Buddhists believe that the stupa holds the largest collection of Lord Buddha's physical relics anywhere in the world. So to pay their respects, pilgrims offer flowers, incense, and various items. Some of these pujas can be very elaborate, as we will see soon. For us, we brought flowers as an offering. It is customary to wash them before you place it on the shrine. And these days there are actually modern mist machines set up right here, so you can do it easily. Remember how I said some of these offerings are incredibly elaborate. We were lucky enough to time our visit perfectly to witness a Kapruka Pooja. This is deeply communal ceremony where devotees offer a massive saffron robe to the stupa. But because the monument is so gigantic, the cloth has to be hundreds of meters long. It takes a massive human chain to carry it. Hundreds of pilgrims work together, holding the fabric above their heads and chanting as they slowly walk around the entire courtyard to wrap the stupa. It is seen as a way to honor the Buddha's relics enshrined in the stupa. Walking a full circle around the base of the Ruwanwelisaya is a journey you should definitely try to do to truly take in the scale of this building. It should take you around 10 minutes on a normal day, but on a busy Pooja day it takes much longer. As you walk and look up at this giant white dome, you really start to feel that pyramid connection we talked about earlier. Perhaps Egyptians had their own way of worship that was long forgotten. Being here, one can have a feeling how it might have actually looked and felt when visiting the pyramids in ancient times. But believe it or not, this is not even the biggest monument in the city. Next, we are visiting a stupa that is even larger than this, and as promised, less crowded. If you enjoy travel content like this, please hit like and subscribe. This is Jetavanaramaya. When it was built, this was the third largest building in the world. Well, there are very less crowds, but still, I think this is much more impressive. When the ancient capital was abandoned, the jungle completely took over. Most of these great stupas fell into deep disrepair, By the time they were rediscovered in the 19th century, they literally looked like small, overgrown mountains. Even the incredible form you see right now is the result of a massive amount of clearing and reconstruction. But honestly, I really love that it was left in this state. These stone structures projecting outwards. These are aligned perfectly to north, south, east, and west. But they did not use magnetic north. Instead, ancient builders used the sun and the stars to calculate the exact geographic true north. You can still see the incredibly detailed carvings of animals, floral patterns, and guardian figures that have survived the jungle. As you are walking barefoot around the stupa, if you look closely, you might notice something incredible right beneath your feet. There is ancient writing carved directly into the paving stones. It is just not ancient graffiti left by a traveler or a mark left by the builders. These are ancient donor inscriptions. From here, you can take the paved road that leads to the museum. One great thing about exploring Anuradhapura is that most places are accessible from a car. When you spot an interesting site, you can just stop and explore it a bit more. So far, we have covered two of the three biggest megastructures. But before we head to the final one, we thought of taking a detour to visit some of the smaller but equally impressive sites. First on my list is Isurumuniya. This beautiful rock temple is famous around the world for a stone masterpiece known as the Isurumuniya Lovers. Unfortunately, we cannot show you that specific carving on video today, as it has been moved inside the site museum for protection. But fortunately, there are other stunning carvings left right out here in the open. And this is where the history gets a little mysterious. Unlike the massive stupas we just explored, these rock carvings are not religious at all. Just look at this fascinating carving of a man sitting in a relaxed royal pose with the head of a horse looking over his shoulder. It is known simply as the man and horse. Archaeologists still debate exactly who this figure is meant to be. Because these carvings show absolutely no Buddhist symbols, it hints at a very exciting possibility. Some believe these artworks might be much older than the currently accepted timeline. They could be leftovers from an ancient royal pleasure garden, or even a completely different era of history before this site was ever turned into a temple. This site is called Abhayagiri, stone door frames. If you compare the stonework from here to Sigiri, I think these are very rudimentary compared to Sigiri. Don't you feel like we are discovering things? Huh? When you go on this thing, the sense of adventure. If you want something bit off the beaten path, there are many smaller sites to explore. The Kuttam Pokuna or the Twin Ponds. It was a bit crowded when we got there, but you can still appreciate the absolute genius of this place. These were bathing pools built for the monks, but the coolest part is the ancient hydrology. The water was pumped through underground pipes and passed through a natural filtration system before it ever filled the pools. We are eventually heading to Abhayagiri, the final megastructure on our list. But since we are in the heart of the old city, we are going to make a quick stop at three absolute must-see ruins that are all clustered close together. Just a short distance away is the Samadhi Buddha statue. The moment you arrive, the atmosphere instantly shifts to pure calm. This is widely considered to be one of the greatest pieces of ancient art in the entire world. Third stop is something you will only find in Sri Lanka, the Moonstone or Sandakada Pahana. Almost every major temple entrance in the ancient city has one, but the one here is considered the most perfect surviving example. And what is so cool about a moonstone is that it is not just a decorative welcome mat, it is a deeply philosophical map. The outer rings of carved fire and running animals represent the endless, exhausting cycle of birth, life, and death. And the beautiful lotus flower in the very center represents the ultimate peace of reaching nirvana. It is an entire religious philosophy carved into a single slab of rock. It's around 6 in the evening. Two of the engineering marvels at work. Yeah, no, I'm not sponsored by them, but it's truly a magnificent piece of engineering. And here in Anuradhapura, witness so many magnificent feats of engineering. The guardstone to the chapter house. I don't know, these columns are extremely large. Well, I think the largest columns I have seen in Anuradhapura at least. This is Abhayagiri, yet another impressive piece of Sri Lankan engineering. In ancient times, this city was spiritually divided between two massive sects of monks. There was the traditional Mahaviharaya sect and the more progressive Abhayagiriya sect. The Abhayagiriya monks were famous for embracing international ideas, which led to some of the most stunning and advanced architecture on the island. It was time to call it a night. But tomorrow, we will be visiting the oldest living tree planted by humans. Sri Lanka has such rich history. For example, the tree behind me is almost 2000 years old. When you walk into the complex, you will quickly realize it is not just a single tree, but an entire grove of bo trees. The original sacred tree sits on the highest terrace and is heavily protected. Brought here over 2 millennia ago, it is actually the oldest living tree planted by humans anywhere in the world with a known planting date. But as you walk around, you might notice people gathering to worship a different tree trunk, one that is growing sideways right out of the ancient brick wall. This branch belongs to one of the attendant trees that protect the main 2,300-year-old Bodhi tree on the upper terrace. Because the main tree is strictly off-limits to the public, this branch reaching out into the walkway has become incredibly special. Thank you so much for exploring Anuradhapura with me. If you loved uncovering this ancient history, you absolutely have to see what we found climbing the famous Lion Rock. Check out my video on Sigiriya right now on the screen, and I will see you over there.